You have more control over your life than you ever imagined. You're about to hear how it was a deaf man that caused the world to listen. Welcome to No Bow Tie, where we conquer emptiness and frustration, discover our uniqueness, and live with unrelenting joy. I'm John No Bow Tie Swoboda, musician and author. Go with me to the year 1824. A 55-year-old man walks down the aisle of a concert auditorium, steps up on the stage. With his back to the audience, he stands just staring at the ground, letting the vibrations of the orchestra rumble through his feet, up through his spine, and into his mind, allowing him to know where the orchestra is at in the music. They're playing his Symphony Number 9. When it's done, he can feel the vibration change as if a storm is rolling by. The conductor taps him on the shoulder and motions to turn around and look at the audience. When he does, the audience is cheering. They're standing, they're waving their arms, big smiles, they're throwing hats in the air. And it was then that he knew, because he used the key, it opened the door. And his deafness was no longer keeping him separate from the world. Of course, the composer that I speak of is none other than Ludwig van Beethoven. Imagine the angst and fear that ran through his veins when he found out that he was deaf, when he learned that he's a gifted composer, but he just can't hear. When he wrote the world's most famous symphony, he was stone deaf. He could not hear anything. Today's show is about that, not about writing symphonies, about when the odds are stacked against you. What is the key that opens the door to help you live the life that you want to live? Be sure to subscribe. Be thankful you can hear, because in the first week of May, I'll be releasing an audiobook that covers the first book that I wrote, How to Be Unique Just Like Everybody Else. It has solutions to some of the biggest problems and obstacles that you face. Be sure to check that out. And now let's get back and hear how you and Beethoven have so much in common on how to break down the obstacles that are holding you back. The reason I tell the story about Beethoven is because I know that you have experienced challenges so big that the obstacles made it feel like that even a miracle wouldn't pull you through or give you the strength to deal with it. And you just don't know what to do during those times, that it just wasn't worth the anguish and the pain. And it just didn't seem like victory was possible. It is beyond frustration. It's demeaning. It is heartbreaking. It saps your energy in the world, and it makes you become so unmotivated that you feel like you can't really even act in life. So you go on autopilot. You disconnect from yourself, from your desires, your biggest dreams, and you just go on the daily churn of waking up, completing the routine, coming home, and living with that pain inside of you. How often is frustration enough to make you want to quit? Or failure becomes an identity marker on how you should make changes in your life. Because you failed, you think you should change the dream. I'd like to share with you an experience that I had where I overcame an obstacle after the failure happened. I went down to the Winfield Bluegrass Festival, the Walnut Valley Festivals. I'm sure that you've probably heard of it if you haven't already been there. I was planning to compete in the flat picking contest, and I had prepared beyond measure. I was ready. I drove down, and of course I was nervous, but I didn't know the monster that I was about to face. The day of the competition, got up in the morning and I felt fine. And again, I was well prepared. I had the pieces memorized. I knew exactly how to get out of the trouble spots. I knew exactly how to respond to the tension. My turn came. I got up on the stage and I fell flat on my face as far as music goes. My performance sucked. It was one of the worst performances I had ever given, and I still had a second piece to play. I played it, the same thing. I fumbled to the point of embarrassment. I got golf claps from the audience, and that was more than I deserved. I played horribly. I got off the stage, my palms were sweating. The problem was, when I got up there, the monster of stage fright kicked in, and I got vertigo. And if you've never had that, it's beyond being nervous. You actually lose your balance in your mind, and you become disoriented, and you can't really even remember your own name at times. It was a very petrifying experience. No amount of preparation or talent would have gotten me through that. It was a mind game of its own, and it sent me spiraling down and just flushed me through the drain pipes of life. I went out and had to face my audience after the performance. There were a lot of fake congratulations, a lot of people telling me to hang in there. I might be on the list of winners. And I knew that wasn't the deal. And sure enough, it wasn't. But the experience, the resolve came when I went in the back room into the green room to change my clothes to face the rest of the day. I looked in the mirror and I knew what the key was. I knew the key had to happen. I could either quit, because that experience might happen again, and it did, or I can persevere. And I can learn from it, and I can keep knocking down the little obstacles one at a time until the big one has vanished. The ingredients of success failed me. Preparation is a main factor in everything that we do that we want to succeed. But once the stage lights came on, preparation had nothing to do with it. Talent is a necessary component. Once the stage lights came on, my talent was diminished to nothing. So what was left? What did I have to work with? In that experience, I had to live it through. I had to let it finish and learn from it and move on. And you can too. Just like Beethoven's hearing failed him, he found a way to move on toward enduring success. The thing that putting one note at a time and knowing in his mind that he had the skills to form that symphony. He could have quit. Imagine that if he would have. Imagine if you quit your biggest dream. What will you be left with? Ira Glass once said that every creator he ever knew spent years sucking at it before the gates opened and they started to get some flow. Use Beethoven as your model. Beethoven heard the melodies ringing in his head, not in his ears. It's the same as if Mother Teresa were a paraplegic, or Patrick Mahomes only had one arm, or Thomas Edison were blind. That's the same odds that Beethoven faced, and because of perseverance, he stuck with it. And one thing at a time, he got what he wanted. He lived the vision that he had formed in his mind of his greatest self. You can do the same. Sticking with it is something you own. Perseverance is control that you have. This is not about financial success. This is about getting the best of who you are into the world so that you can see that reflection of yourself made real in the world. It is one of the best, most satisfying experiences that you can have, is to be able to observe your self-expression made real. It's not easy. It doesn't just take work. It takes perseverance. That is why I'm really excited about next week's episode. We're going to talk about how to reconnect with the most important aspect of your life. Before we go, be sure to subscribe, nobowtie.com/life. Get on the newsletter. We've got a lot of fun, positive information to share with you. Before I go, I want to play you a rendition of my own arrangement of a Beethoven piece. See you next week. Okay, this is a little Beethoven thing. This is from that Ode to Joy. You know that one. Well, I took the words from it and put it to a reggae thing. Transcribed it to English. Always breaking the rules. Went something like this. Let the light melt the clouds of the sin, and the sadness of the dark, of the doubt, drive the dark, you drive it away. See the light of the day. All the word faces browns, and I see that you're calling me the drive it tough.